Hey everybody, this is Eugene Holden. Welcome to Real Talk with Eugene. And today I got my brother on the line, Tyrone Cosey. Woohoo! How are you?
Hey, brother Eugene, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thank you so much, Tyrone, for saying yes to doing this, man. I appreciate you very much.
My pleasure.
Not only do I appreciate this, but I appreciate you because we've been talking for a while now.
Yeah, we have.
And that's some good stuff, man. So again, man, we're just having this conversation, having this real talk. And how I usually do it, man, I just ask the question, man, what's on your heart? What's up for you today?
Well, I went for a wonderful walk in the morning. That's one of the things I love doing out here where I live, about a 20-minute walk. And it was daybreak, and the sun was just slowly coming up. And I just thought about how expansive God is, how expansive the universe is. And what I've been reading lately is that the universe is continuing to expand.
Yeah.
It's expanding as we're talking. And so I, where I walk gives me an opportunity to look all around me, almost a panoramic view of wetlands and blue skies and the bay glimmering off in the distance. And it makes me really feel connected. And for the last couple of days, I don't think I was feeling quite as connected as I had in the past. And sometimes it feels like a wave, like a wave of coming in and feeling the crest of the wave, and then sometimes feeling the lower part of it. But in the valleys, so to speak, I'm learning to listen to the still small voice, which I typically don't listen to when I think I'm in the valley. I feel oftentimes, like really disconnected from the source. But that still small voice is always speaking to me, and I'm just like, I just gotta breathe, and like take a deep breath and just pull it back and just feel the presence, the whispering, and don't ignore it. I may sometimes think that it's it's my small voice instead of the whispering small voice of God. And I notice when I think it's my voice, I dismiss it really easy. When I realize that it's not my small voice, I'm mistaken about that. It's the voice of God, and I need to train my ear to listen. And so that's very humbling. That's very humbling. And so when I walk out in the morning, which I did this morning, and saw the daybreak and saw the sunrise and saw the grounds go from a kind of a shadowy gray, before daybreak, to like these hues of brown and beige, and that's the earth around me, right? The soil, the ground, and then how the sky goes from magenta into a blue, and today it's like cloudless, so it's like a pure blue sky. And it made me think about a song that my men are doing today at a memorial service for a sister named Tish. She's a practitioner who passed away rather recently. And our minister, Reverend Celeste, told me that she went to visit Tish, and she wanted to hear some men's chorus music. She broke her phone out and played a song. Her husband said she wanted to listen to it, and she started playing it, and she opened her eyes just a little bit during the course of the song, and then she closed her eyes. And I understand that later that day she passed. And so her family asked if we would come and sing. So the reason why that came to my mind, because when I was walking this morning, I thought about the song that we're singing, Louis Armstrong's "It's a Wonderful World," and the power of that song. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, the bright sacred day, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred
night. Yeah.
I think to myself, what a wonderful world. And I thought about when that was recorded, like calling the world a wonderful world when Louis Armstrong recorded that is really crazy. It's
right.
Like, is he out of his mind? Is he so out of touch? Is he so out of touch with the pain that Black folks have gone through and the institutionalization of that pain? You know, it's like, wow, you know, but then I realized that dude was a metaphysician in his own right,
Right.
you know, because to lay that down is like a vision that's beyond what's around us. And to me, that's what New Thought is about. Science of Mind is about that, not to ignore it,
Right.
you know, not to pretend like it doesn't exist, but to know that there's facts and then there's truth.
Right.
And those are the two things to me that that I've got to look at. You know, the fact is that I may be experiencing or feeling something this way, but the truth of the matter is that it's all connected. That
Right.
it's all part of a bigger plan, of a
Yeah.
divine plan in its own right. And that we have this wonderful opportunity to go on this journey to discover it, or we can ignore it, or we can pretend like that truth doesn't exist. So, and I grew up in Christian Science, so it's really interesting because I went to all Black Christian Science church in Chicago. I mean, I didn't even know about white churches until I got a little older and read more about it and then went to other churches. But and so I grew up with this philosophy that I didn't even realize that Ernest Holmes studied, you know, Mary Baker Eddy, you know, and along with Quimbley and a bunch of all other people. I may not have pronounced that right, but
Right.
along with other great metaphysicians of that time. And so when I got about 17, I kind of let go of the religious thing. I reached a point where I could no longer sit in the Sunday school class talking about God as a reflection of man, but I picked up the Chicago Tribune every morning and see some negative stuff about Black people being killed, about, you know, criminalization of a race, you know, all this stuff, you know, around me. And I just, 17 years old, nope, can't believe in that anymore because that's going against what I'm seeing. 10 years later, I found 10, maybe 15 years later, I moved out to California and I was hanging with a girlfriend and she had a Science of Mind magazine on her nightstand. And I just picked it up and started ringing it, man. It was like bells in my ear, man. It was like so much resonated with me. And I realized that the core of what I believed growing up was still of such value for me because that core really tuned into this quote unquote new thought philosophy, which is quite ancient, as you know.
Right.
So yeah, so I, you know, what's been on my mind is to really listen carefully and to look at if there's a mood change, to kind of examine that and kind of see where that's kind of coming from, but to be able to step back and observe it as opposed to being so deep in it. And that's how in the past, when I would move into, like when my buddy passed, as I had shared with you in the past, and I went into a depression, didn't even realize it. And I had to really, I reached a point where I had to pull myself out of it, almost like one of those scenes from Doctor Strange in the Marvel movie where he just pulls out, you know, the body. And it gave me a chance to kind of view that as an observer and see that and bless it because it's real what I was feeling, but knowing that I don't have to stay there. Honor it, but know that I don't have to stay there, that I can learn what I'm trying to learn from it and hopefully it makes me a better person. You know, boy, that's a long answer to your question.
That's real talk, bro. That's real talk. You know? Boy, I don't know about you. But in all of that, Tyrone, you said some very, very profound things, right? Talking about, you know, the wave and the valley. And when you're in the valley, that's when you tend to listen to that still small voice more, you know, and well, that's when we should listen to it more, you know. Then I've had the experience where I'm down in that valley, and it may take me a while to tune my ear to it, even though it's always speaking, right?
Yes.
So that's the hearing part, but then you brought in the seeing part, talking about what a wonderful world, because he starts off by saying, "I see."
That's right. That's right.
Right? And I, you know, as many times as I've heard that song, and we all have heard that song, sung that song, never really thought about, in the midst of everything that's going on, I see trees of green. Man, So as the metaphysical teaching, as you said, man, this religion thing is new thought. Like I like to say, let's have a new thought on the ancient wisdom, because this stuff is so old. It's ancient wisdom. So in spite of what appears to be going on, and then which is what you alluded to, not to sweep it beneath the rug, yeah, it's there, but I don't want to put my attention on that. I want to see trees of green. I want to see, and as we continue to listen, and as we continue to see through that, through those eyes of purity, man, in spite of what seems to be going on. And there's no way to deny what's going on. And there's something else that you said that was so very profound. What's going on might be factual, but it doesn't mean that it's the truth.
Exactly right.
Right?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
That was helpful for me, because I always kind of thought that part of my reason for rejecting Christian Science growing up, once I became a 17, 18 years old, was that I couldn't reconcile.
Right.
Like it was like I was part of a religion that was really trying to just put his head in the sand and not really look at it. What I realized today, especially with the two churches that I attend now, and the one which is Heart and Soul, and Reverend Andrea Earl, this amazing woman, she's been really cutting edge about social justice and spirituality, and how there's a place in between that we can use our fantastic skills of imagination to imagine a world that's just and full, and then take actions while you're holding the dream.
That's the important part.
Participate while you're holding the dream. And I like that combination to me, because, I grew up in Chicago, man. Social justice is a serious thing for me. I grew up, my father was very involved in the YMCA. He was he was on the board. He was always involved with the community. So for me, it's like that was a core part of who I am. Fairness is so important. I just felt there were so many things that are unfair in terms of how our people were being treated.
Right.
This really was disturbing to me, so I couldn't reconcile the two. But as I've gotten older, and I'm realizing that this is a part of something much broader. The Trump administration is part of something much
right.
A shift in how we view stuff. I think it's going to lead to not necessarily reparations, but I certainly think it's going to lead to people really having a discussion about the impact of slavery and how to move beyond that. Those conversations hasn't happened, but I feel like we're inching closer to it.
Right.
And that's a good thing. Overall,
right, it is.
The facts appear that we're more divided than ever. But the truth of the matter is that underneath that, there's a greater truth that connects us all.
Come on now.
Connects us all. There's like this fiber that knits us together in ways that we don't even understand.
Right. Right.
So I'm like, okay, do I still get pissed off reading this crap, the stuff that rolls out of his mouth? Yeah, I do. And then I gotta balance that so I don't get drawn into the vortex of that, nastiness and all that stuff. And so that's a challenge, because I get pissed, like other people do, right?
Right.
But I'm looking at that pissness. I'm looking at it, and so there's a blessing in being able to just look at it.
Yeah.
And call it for what it is. Okay, it appears to be a fact, but it's not the truth.
Yeah.
And the truth is so much greater, and the truth is so much more liberating. So I'm not in the shackles of resentment, right? Which is some powerful shit.
Yeah, I like that, man. Not in the shackles.
Edit that out.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, edit out what I just said.
No, man, because this is real talk.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Right.
As long as you don't drop any F-bombs,
I got it.
We'll be okay. We'll be all right.
Okay.
One of the things, that I say often is, with the current administration and with the current, everything that's going on, including the current administration, is all for, what it's doing, and I love this, is that it's stirring stuff up, bringing stuff up, not only to be looked at, but then to be healed. You know, even though it may appear that the country is more divided. Masanda Hiraoka was on Real Talk a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about seeing a meme where the wall was not on the southern borders of the USA, it was in the middle of the country, dividing it, right? Which is a powerful visual. But what I'm looking at and what I'm feeling and sensing, Tyrone, is that even with all of that, people are going, wait a minute, we need to change this. You know, this isn't working.
Yeah.
You know, so
they're digging deeper to find ways to really to resolve it. Because when we had a black president, everybody thought it was post-racial. Great, we're over racism. Isn't that wonderful? Woohoo! Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Right.
We found out that's not the case, and that's a good thing. I think it's a wake-up call.
It's a wake-up call.
Wake-up call.
It's a wake-up call. You know, we talk about many people talk about America being the greatest country in the world, and I wouldn't live anywhere else. And so then let's see it like that, which must include everybody. It must include everyone. Because we are all in this together. Who was that who said, none of us get out of this thing alive? Right? You know, so that's one of the reasons why this idea of Real Talk came up almost a month ago. And it was, you know, listening to that still sacred voice, for me, it's not a small voice. That thing yells at times, but so I call it a still sacred voice. And so the idea of Real Talk came up for the reason of providing people, you and I and others, you know, a platform to talk about other things, talk about stuff other than all the shit that's going on, you know. Okay, I get that, but let's talk about, you know, what's real for you, Tyrone, you know, and seeing life, you know, and not ignoring what's going on, but turning, as I like to say, I like to go to scripture, right, where we turn the other cheek, meaning look in the opposite direction of what we want to experience. You know, stuff is going on. And one of the things I like to say, you know, people, you hear this all the time, is like, what's mine to do? And I get that. For me, it's like, well, who am I to be first? That's my first question. Who am I to be in this? Because when I realize and get clear on who it is that I am to be, that then assists in informing what I am to do. And I love what you said, man. It has to be, we got to get into some action. You know, I love prayer, but also I know that, you know, I got to put the action behind the words, you know?
I remember someone said, treat, but move your feet, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and that's an important step. And I think that, I think there's a special place. I really think this is true, that people of color who are metaphysicians, who are New Thought students, we have a really important role in this world. We have a really important role. I think we play a huge role, and will be playing a huge role in as this earth evolves, as we become more enlightened. We have a special job to do in this area, and I'm not sure what that is. I think it's the conversion. You know, it's the conversion of the pain that the institutional pain that's kind of been carried in the memory of generations and generations of African Americans and immigrants and other people who've been really treated badly. What's our role? We may be guideposts. We may be, you know, to serve some really major role through our speaking, through our music, through our athletic abilities.
Right.
There's something greater, a greater role that we're to play, and it's humbling and it's rumbling. You know, because it's right under the surface, man, and it's I can't quite grasp it, but I know that it's there, and because I feel so passionate about it, and because I do want to see the world to be a much better place and fair for all, and folks to get over, you know, power tripping and, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's in the past because, you know, wake up.
Wake up.
As Mulvaney said, get over it. It was a different context, but the thing is, like, you know, we can move forward.
Well,
we can move forward. There's work we got to do.
right.
We can move forward on it.
Right. And it's not always going to be rainbows and unicorns. In fact, it's going to be, you know, there will be times where it's going to feel challenging, like, oh God, why me? Why not you? You know?
Stormy weather, yeah.
Yeah. You know, who was that? Teddy Pendergrass and Harold Melvin. You know, wake up, everybody! Right, wake up.
Best song, boy.
You know, it's an amazing thing, right? We take songs back and we go back in the past, and there are songs, man, that are still speaking to the same thing. You know, what's going on, right?
So true.
Yeah.
So true. Last year, I began work on a new business called New Thoughts Soul Music Radio. And I actually recorded about 6 shows, and this year, having the miracle of surviving a kidney disorder, and I feel so blessed to be alive, I'm able to start working on that again and to relaunch that. And my reason for doing it was because I felt like there was so much richness that existed in particularly the African-American experience and our experience with the choice, as we used to call it, right? You know, and coming out of the richness of the Baptist experience or the Pentecostal experience, you know, with so much spiritual energy, and then to take that and then to bring it to New Thought in the way that we bring stuff, in the way that we bring
right.
That's powerful, man.
Right.
And so it grabbed me, and I realized there's so many artists across the country. I mean, you got the great ones like Ricky Byer, of course, Nikki Harris, people really know, you know, not OJ Simpson, but the guy that did Little Green Apples, I forgot his name, but
O.C. Smith.
O.C. Smith, right? Who, as I understand, was also a metaphysician.
Right.
You know? And so you
Della
have,
Reese.
Della Reese. You have all these great people really, really know, but there are tons of artists who no one even heard of that has music out. You know, Brandis McKenzie, Valerie Joy Pittman, you know, Fidmont. Great musicians. You know, I even put you in violin when you were a kid. You know, awesome people. And so that's what I'm excited about. So I'm looking forward to the new year as I go within and know that I have everything I need to make this work.
Right.
Forward, right? You know, so I'm excited about that. That's something that's really been deeply on my heart is to get back to it, because I had to put it on hold because I had to deal with my health.
Got to take care of self.
Had to do that, right? Self-care, self-love is self-care. That's something I really had to lock into, you know. But anyway, the only reason I'm bringing that up is because we got to find the joy. I have to find the joy in my life that is about purpose as well. And part of my joy and part of my purpose is to let the brilliance of God shine forth in my music, in my heart, in my eyes, and the people that I surround myself with. Just feel that radiation of nothing but brilliance of love and energy and care. That's what the bomb is about. That, to me, that's truth for me in its purest form. And so I'm just so honored, man. I mean, just you and I crossing paths the way we did. When you came to East Bay and you did your thing, and everybody was like, yeah, this is the cat here. And then you came upstairs and hung with the men and had lunch with us upstairs.
Bread, man. Some,
you know,
catfish.
Cat had Paris's catfish, you know. So that was the beginning. And I feel very, very blessed, man, that evolved into a point where we made this connection and was able to support each other on a weekly basis, and particularly you supporting me. So I'm just thankful, man. I'm humbled by it deeply. Humbled.
Thank you so much, brother. You know, so listen, you were speaking about going through that physical experience, right? And I don't know if you caught me. I'm like, ooh, because there was a question that I wanted to ask you, but I didn't ask you this.
Okay.
And we've been talking for a while, every week. But let me ask you this question, my brother Tyrone. As a result of that, what did you learn about you?
Yes, I learned quite a bit. And then a quick backdrop. So, you know, it's went through a year of a kidney disorder that was rare, but we caught it early, and it wasn't cancer, and there was a treatment program for it. Okay. So it took me a while before I got into the whole medical route. I explored other things, the natural nutrition, other ways that I've seen people talk about how it's healed, you know, medical conditions and etc. But I finally was ready, and I got involved with it. So the two big things I learned, to kind of summarize, because you and I can talk about this all day. So the two particular things I learned, thank you for asking the question, is that one, I really had to change the way I was eating. I was not, you know, I talked a good game, but you know, when folks went around, you know, I ate what the heck I wanted to eat, you know. And I always knew there was a connection between health and food, but I didn't really want to completely buy off on it. Yeah, it's true to some extent, but that doesn't really always apply to me. So that's a big thing I had to learn, and it was an important lesson because I was in the 5th month of a 6-month protocol, a treatment program where I had a serious rollback. I thought I was like almost out of it, taking cancer-like drugs, feeling fatigued, you know, rebooting my immune system basically. And I just we went somewhere, stayed overnight, and I just pigged out. I ate all day, all night, anything I wanted, right? And I paid such a price for it, and I dropped into this, afterwards, this depression, like, what is the matter with you? You're like 5 months out of 6. And that was my wake-up call, where I really, so even though it was a difficult 48 hours, and then the next 3 weeks, it took me time to heal from that, the wonderful thing that came out of that is that I, for the first time, really decided to take seriously my nutrition, what I was eating, how I was handling it. So that was a big lesson, was food, and how to measure that, looking at how much I put in my, nobody could forces me to eat, how much I eat, when I eat it, what combinations of food I eat, how fast I chew the food. No one controls that but me. Right. You know, so coming to that realization helped me look at, you know, food disorders and other things, and to rise above that. That was huge. The other thing, which I think is equally important, is that I learned to ask for help. See, Gene, I'm the kind of cat, man, I'll help everybody else. I'm first to be there to be nurturing and to help and to be supportive. But I didn't know how to ask myself. I felt embarrassed. I would feel weak. You know, who wants to present himself as being weak, especially a Black man? And that's the last thing we want to do, you know. And so that was very humbling. And when I realized I could ask for help, I formed 5 teams. I had a medical team. I put together a nutrition team. I put together an exercise team, which, by the way, Felicia, my beloved, was on all of those teams.
Of course.
And the last one I formed was my spiritual team. And you're part of that spiritual team. Right. And so that wouldn't have happened unless I got over my ego stuff about asking for help. And I did, and I feel so blessed by it. So those are the 2 big things that came out of it for me. And now I've lost the weight I wanted to lose, that I was, quote unquote, struggling with for years. And then suddenly, once I came to the realization about this stuff, it just kind of melted away. There was no struggle anymore in order to make that happen. And so I feel extremely, extremely blessed to have made it through on the other side. And by the way, my doctor, the kidney doctor is usually very stoic, was giddy of my 8th visit to him, like 2 months after the protocol was over. He said, man, your kidneys are back to 100% function. Your kidneys are functioning like a teenager. I'm like, I'll take that. I had to pop my collar on that one. I'll take that. Yeah. So I just really, really feel blessed through that experience. And I share it with people, man. I share that, you know, I had to look at this differently. And it took this experience to stop me in my tracks. It took this experience to really tune into my body. It took this experience for me to really talk to parts of my body, and honor them and love them, you know, loving my stomach, loving my everything about me, you know, and those, and talk to it. Right. You know, I mean, put energy, flood love into it. I was flooding love into my kidneys, man. Every single day, I said, thank you for functioning. Thank you for bringing me back. Thank you for dealing with it. I know this is some tough shit for you, but thank you for how you're handling it and how much I love and honor you and respect you for what you've done. And that's every part, my heart, my lungs, my kidney, every part of me, I had to realize love. And that was precious. Yes. So.
Yeah. You know, and that's so very important. I'm sorry, what was that?
I think I answered your question.
Yeah, you did, man. You did. And so much more, you know, and that last part about talking to the organs. I was in a prayer call earlier, right before we got on, and she and I were she was speaking about that same thing, talking to the organs. And it reminded me of this Taoist practice called the inner smile, where, you know, you go into meditation, but you're smiling energy into each of the organs, basically doing what you just said, talking to them. And what I want people to realize is that the organs are alive, you know, and there's emotion connected to them. So when you talk to them going, thank you so much, liver. Oh man, what you said something to me a few weeks ago, giving thanks to your liver, and the way that you put that, man, it was like, oh, that's gorgeous. Thank you for, I don't know, I can't remember the way that you put that. In fact, you wrote that down. Or the kidneys or whatever it was, but it was
the kidneys. I just don't remember what it was, but
yeah. It was the kidneys. But the main point is, I'm glad that you brought that up, is the organs are alive. And just like I like to be thanked for the stuff that I do, that I like to be appreciated, so do the organs. So it's imperative that everybody who's listening to this, whenever you get a chance, sit down and go through the entire body system. Thank you, heart. Think about this. The heart beats who knows how many times a day without us even thinking about it.
That's right. You know? It's filled with air without us even being conscious about it.
Yeah. So thank you, heart. I appreciate you. Thank you, liver, for doing what you do. Yeah.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. I wrote this thing called Health Intention. It was in that piece that I had read to you. And I was so thankful that you were available and willing to hear it. And I just had a line in there just said, thank you, my blessed kidneys. I just thank you, you know. You know, because a special shout out to my kidneys.
That's what it was. That's what it was. A
special
shout out
Thank
to
you.
my kidneys. Yeah.
Had to do it, man. Yeah, that's so true, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because the truth is, man, you know, because everything is an energy, right?
Yes.
And here's the thing, right? What we appreciate appreciates. What we appreciate grows. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, I want to take this time also to let everybody know the music that you heard at the beginning and the music that you'll hear at the end is by Tyrone Cosey.
Woohoo!
Just wanted to drop that in.
A little shout out, huh?
A little shout out. Speaking of shout out, music is by Tyrone Cosey.
A shout out to his vocal cords.
Yeah, right. You're nut. But it takes one to know one. Hey man, speaking of music, is there a website or a web address or an email that people can get in touch with you in terms of your music or anything else?
That's a good question. Thank you. Yeah, please give out my email address. I like the personal connection with people, but also that's the route that I can provide some of my music for those who are interested, and that is T as in Tom, M as in Maceo, since that's my middle name.
Maceo.
Maceo. Get the drummers up. C-O-S.
Hey, man.
Why?
Now I'm back to the Book of Brown, but we'll talk about that later.
I try that again. tmcozy@gmail.com, and I welcome responses. I'm so honored by this experience. Just to say something that music came deep from my heart. I had no idea I had all that in me, and I was working 3 jobs at the time, trying to feed a child go through all kind of stuff, and yet some kind of way we figured out a way to produce a CD. I look back on it, I'm going, wow. So it's from my heart. I so appreciate the fact that you're willing, that you have played some of that music, and I hope your audience enjoys it.
Absolutely. So that's T.M. Cosey. That's Cosey.
Yeah, S is in Sam, E is in Edward, Y.
At gmail.com.
Gmail.
Cool. My brother. Thank you so very much, man, for taking out this time, dude. To have a conversation, to have some real talk.
Thank you, brother.
It has been a pleasure.
and Reverend Holden, would you please quote from the Book of Brown to close this message out?
Well, I just so happen to have the Book of Brown here. Well. No, we'll do quotes from the Book of Brown later.
All right. Thank you so much, Gene. It's been a pleasure, sir.
Dude, thank you so very much, man. Peace, bro.
Peace out.